I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh.
And grateful for just the little things that we have and to have the time with Inez. And I'm sorry I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, that's perfect.
But, you know, we're all, you're not, we're human, okay? And you just have to do the best in your situation. And you realize very quickly that you don't need a lot of stuff to be happy. You know, just your health and your family and love. And that's really, you can get rid of a lot of the BS.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jason Dames. I'm with Final Start Fitness. Hey, we got a special guest on this video today, Mike and Deanna Mutzel. I always refer to Mike as Mike Muscle. It's really fitting. You know, a lot of you guys know that I really have a heart for women in terms of just emotionally and psychologically, just the relationship with food and helping them overcome those mental battles that they struggle with. And so me and Deanna are going to kind of talk about some ways that we can help you guys, maybe just some different thought processes. And so I'm really excited to have you on here today,
Thank
Deanna.
you.
So,
I'm excited to be on your channel.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So finally we meet, right?
So I've been following these guys for quite some time. It's almost a little bit nervous because I really admire both Mike and Deanna.
Oh,
and
we admire you too.
So it's going to be fun talk. I want to talk a little bit about, so many times I talk to women that, are struggling with, they've battled for years. They've done a lot of the yo-yo dieting. They went up and down.
Yeah.
And my sister always says it best. I use this a lot, but when she first started to come to me to train, she was like, Jason, this is like a mountain I just can't ever see past.
Yeah.
And a lot of these diets and things that they've done have kind of set them up for failure. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of maybe the calories in and calories out approach where they look at everything and just in terms food is just calories.
Yeah.
And so they think they got to eat less.
Right.
And then work out more.
Right.
I'd love for you to talk about how this leads into some of these just psychological and mental battles that women struggle with.
Right. Yeah. It is so common. And it's something I heard many, many, many times in practice at the office. I'm a chiropractor and I do nutritional consults as well. So this was extremely, probably the number one topic. So, calories, for sure, many women are afraid of just eating in general. And it's happening younger now.
Yeah.
It's not just women who are in their late 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s. Now it's happening in women in their 20s and 30s. And it's because just times are different. Food's different from farm to table.
Oh my gosh.
Our environment's different. Stress is so much more. People aren't as active. They have desk jobs. And they think that they're going to get benefits by just doing group classes and then just going back to their desk job and sitting all day. So it's a lifestyle. It's not just really about what you eat. Mm-hmm. It is completely a lifestyle. So it's a struggle because many women will undereat and they'll be eating salads, and this could be you, because they don't know what else to do. They just want something that's satiating and filling, and so load up on all these veggies. They won't have enough protein. They won't have enough good fats. They think fat makes them fat, and it's this whole cyclical thing. And then suddenly they're putting on weight. They have a tummy. They have cortisol. They're like, Deanna, I'm bloated, because they're losing muscle. And so when you lose muscle, which we do as we get older anyway, because growth hormone plummets, what's going to happen is your body is going to retain, innately, it's very smart, it's going to retain what it can in starvation mode. So, there is a much easier way to do it.
Oh
Jason.
my gosh, that's so true. And so a lot of times what I see, I read this book. Have you ever heard of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yes.
And then his son, Stephen Covey, wrote Speed of Trust. And what he talked about in there is that every time you do something over and over again, and then you let's say you decide to make a decision, and then you continue, you don't follow through with that decision, or something happens where you repeatedly do that over and over again. What he says is you start to lose belief in yourself.
It's like insanity, right?
Yeah.
We've all been there. We're only human, right?
So, I've seen it where women are dieting over and over again. And, some of these diets have set them up for failure in such a way where, they think they're doing the right things, but they just can't maybe sustain it. And then whatever, they quit. And then they have this repetitive thing over and over again. So it gets to where, and this is why my sister said it's like a mountain, because like she has no confidence of her ability to be able to ever lose weight or to feel good about herself. And and then it leads into every aspect. I talk to women where they're like, man, I don't even want to take pictures with my family because I'm embarrassed about myself.
It's a very cyclical thing, Jason. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
I really feel for these women because, first of all, especially if they don't have a history of good habits, like where do they begin, right? And the problem is that when you lose self-confidence, you suffer as a mom, you suffer as a wife. It can create relationship disturbance. This isn't just women. This is like men too.
That's so true.
It's like you got to feel good about yourself. So self-love is extremely important. So it's an epidemic, and it's important to feel really good about yourself so that you can serve others.
That would be a good segue into like, what are some ways that, I think a lot of times women and men do this, like you said, but they kind of put themselves on the back burner. We were kind of talking about this a little bit offline, they kind of put themselves on the backside and they don't have that self-love, like, could you talk about maybe some reasons why they need to prioritize that so they can, so they don't just put everybody else ahead of themselves. So often they're like taking care of everybody, taking care of the home. And I get it. Like women, you have such a burden on you. You're doing so much. Sometimes you have a full-time job. You're trying to take care of the house, make sure the laundry is, taken care of and doing all this other stuff, taking the kids to different, ball games or whatnot. And so I know it's busy, but you end up putting yourself on the back burner and then you don't have any energy, or you end up with some chronic disease or whatnot. So maybe
absolutely, Jason. So, okay, first of all, it's human, right? Like we're caregivers. It's our biology, and it's a good thing. The problem is it becomes extremely. There needs to be balance, and you're not selfish for taking the time for yourself. And I know it's tough if you have a career. Trust me, I'm a mom. I have a history of being an entrepreneur since I was 25. I'm 43 now. And, many people will judge me for taking an extra hour for myself, even after being away all day. And, I did it for 20 years. I was in an office for, 8 hours a day, and I would hit the gym before coming home. And, I would judge myself at times and think, should I just go home or should I hit the gym? And what you have to realize is it's extremely important to take that time for yourself, even if it's just 30 minutes, because it will make you it will make you a better wife. It'll make you a better mom. You'll have energy for yourself. You'll feel good about yourself. And it's just a lot more efficient and productive when you feel good about yourself, okay? And it'll probably all around make your relationship with your spouse and your kids a lot better. And not only that, Jason, it'll make these women role models for their kids to take care of themselves.
My gosh,
because
huge.
when the kids see this, it's how they're going to be. They're going to get these habits. They're going to, think, okay, well, because my mom didn't really take the time to take care of herself, or my dad, this goes both ways. Well, I shouldn't either. And so you're installing these habits into your kids. So you're not selfish for taking the time for yourself. Now, there's balance, obviously. I'm not saying like take 3 hours away from your family and isolate yourself. There is balance, but a good hour daily just to, take a breath, hit the gym, do yoga, whatever makes you feel happy. Just a hobby in general, something for yourself, right, is really, I think, important.
That's such a good point. And I think there's this fine line, where some people can go over to where it's just they're so self-absorbed and they're narcissistic,
Right.
But I love that's a great point. And the kid thing I think is huge. And I've had this conversation with other ladies that I know, and I'm like, think about it this way. Do you want your kids to go through the same mental battles and the struggles that you're going through? I mean, I literally have some of these ladies that are like almost crying in tears saying, Jason, I just think about it 24 hours a day and it never leaves my head and I feel horrible. And that translates into every aspect of your life.
Right.
And do you want,
human.
yeah, exactly. But do you want that for your kids? And the best way, I love that you brought that up, the best way that you can inspire your kids is to be an example and just be a role model of that. You know, so many times, I don't know if you agree with this, but we're trying to get people to do stuff instead of just being an inspiration and living out as an example.
And there's things you can do. Like, look, I get it. I mean, I go through the same thing. So how do you structure as a win-win your life to involve your kids, for example, since we're on this topic? Because it's a big topic, right? Yes. So you can build your own home gym. It's something that we're starting to do, so we have more time as a family.
Give me some nuts on that. Boom.
Right? And you can do a lot at home. You don't have to belong to a super expensive gym to get a good workout. Trust me, like I've done both. And so you can involve your kids and your family in hikes and in movement, which is extremely like healthy. You can involve them with cooking your meals. You can involve them with watching you work out. You can bring them to a yoga class. They have many group classes where they have kids. You can involve your kids. So it's something that you can involve your family with. Now, it depends on your personality type, right? So
it does.
If you're more of an introvert and you need that time to recharge yourself, which is I'm a social introvert, which means that I love people, but sometimes I just need that time for myself to just really think, well, maybe get up an hour earlier in the morning and take your walk or do your workout when your family is still sleeping if you can. Now, it just depends on your situation. For example, like if you're recently divorced and you're juggling a career and kids, obviously, you know, there's other factors you have to, you know, think about. And it's common, and this is stuff I see all the time. You know, Deanna, I don't have time. I'm juggling everything. I'm recently divorced. I don't have the money, whatever. There's many excuses.
Totally.
But there's things that you can do if you make it a priority. You can do a workout inside your house if you have a little one. You know, you can bring them with you. Take 20 minutes. It doesn't take long to give you, you know, to do a workout, to give yourself that self-love, to feel balanced and healthy. So you can be your own worst enemy, making excuses on, you know, why you're not where you want to be. I mean, there's many. You just have to be creative.
That's so true. You were making a good point, and I think this is somewhat of a sensitive topic when you're talking about stress, and you know, and there's a lot. There are situations like you were talking about that are just kind of out of our control.
Yeah.
And so definitely, you know, I think what we're promoting is that there's always things that are out of your control that are going to happen in your life, and you just got to deal with it and manage it the best that you can.
Exactly.
But then there are a lot of things that I don't know if you've noticed working with people, but there's a lot of things that they actually are causing more stress in their life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the mom that has their kids in every sport known to man, and they're, you know, a taxi, and they just completely. And that's where it comes back to priorities again and self-love a little bit.
Right.
And
is it necessary to have them in every sport type of thing?
Yeah.
You know, and you're not being selfish for, you know, creating a situation where they're not in every sport, so you have more time for yourself.
Yeah.
And, you know, actually, this is kind of funny, Jason, but since we're on the topic, there was we had to juggle between like a soccer camp and between a what was it? I think it was tennis camp and soccer camp. And how I evaluated the situation wasn't necessarily like, well, what would our daughter enjoy more? Because I knew she would like both. It was, okay, so where is this? It's 2 hours of my time. It's away from work. Is there an area where I can is it a secure area where I can kind of do a workout while she's doing that?
That's a good point.
Or is it an area where I can sit down and get some work done while she's doing this? So it has to be kind of a win-win for your schedule, okay? Because there's plenty of times where I hear moms or dads who are driving their kids from point A to point B because they think it's really, you know, a good situation to have their kid in, like, say, football and soccer and this and that and gymnastics, and then they're just frazzled and stressed, and the kids sense this too. Okay, your kids are really sensitive, so it's not like you're doing them any justice by, you know, for them seeing that you're stressed out and they're doing all these sports.
They're snipping at their kids all the time.
And they're snipping at their kids, and then everybody's miserable and yelling, and, you know, hey, we're all human, and we go through these situations. Just go for balance, and you know, it's okay to make these somewhat selfish decisions on, like, you know, how to juggle your kids and sports, etc. And, you know, they just want love, okay?
That's true. I
Keep
love
them
that.
active, and they just want love.
We talked about this yesterday, but when you die on your deathbed, and it sounds kind of morbid, but you're not going to look back at your life and be like, man, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I would have done. You're gonna think about like, man, I wish I would have spent more time with the people that I love, or
Right.
just these important things.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the clean house, or whatever it is. You're not gonna look back and be like, man, I wish I would have cleaned more. I wish I would have picked up. I wish I would have had the
Right.
perfect, house.
Yeah.
And so I love that. And you guys are great. That example you were just talking about, I've been watching you, and you're great at like multitasking and stuff like that.
We try, we try our best, but yeah, it's funny with the cleaning situation. It's definitely not our priority. We were joking around before we went online. We invite guests over sometimes just because it forces us to clean our house because it's never a priority.
Strategy.
Like we just, we'd rather be in the backyard, playing with our daughter and or hiking, and not that we're like disgusting, but
Right.
it's
No.
not going to be like me kneeling down with a toothbrush scrubbing the floors. And it's could we hire a cleaner? Sure, but it's it's money, and we'd rather have that money for good food. So
No, and they got an amazing place out here in Seattle. Like it's gorgeous, beautiful. I love it here, and it's really awesome watching you guys with your young daughter. Like she was saying, they get out, they have chickens in the back, and just things that get them outside.
Yeah.
There's another like side topic, but so much of us we're on our technology and our phones and all that stuff, and it's just so cool that you guys get out with your kids and do fun stuff and hike and spend some of that time together while getting exercise.
Right. Yeah, we try to avoid the electronics for sure. And it's so easy just to kind of give your kid an iPad and do your thing. But God, it's an epidemic. So we don't even, I can't remember the last time I'm looking at our TV. I can't remember the last time we turned that thing on. I think the only time it goes on is like football season, to be honest with you. And like the last 5 minutes of the game, and my husband's watching, and I'll maybe like look, but we would just much rather have like quality time and have people over and socialize.
That's so good.
Yeah, we're on our phones enough. Like
Totally.
with social media have to be on our phones. So why would we take that extra time to watch TV? And not that I'm judging anyone who does, but you want to just get out with your kids and your family and just talk and not text all day.
That's
and
true. I love that.
I kind of miss that.
The TV almost has like a lot of negativity on it too. It's like,
I know. Especially the news. God.
I know. I told Mike yesterday. I was like, man, I don't hardly listen to the news, and I always figure, well, if there's something bad enough, somebody will tell me about it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. Call me sheltered, but whatever.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of negativity on the news, and I just sometimes don't always want to be exposed to it because there's enough negativity again on social media, etc. So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we segue and kind of end with the topic? I think where we were going with it kind of is priorities are very, very important.
Yeah.
And so how do you make health a priority in your life? So that way, like, one of the ways that I saw, like I read in a book, is like list out your priorities and then list how much time that you're actually spending in those categories.
Yeah.
For me, it's like my faith, my family, and then, fitness. And so when I had to step back and look at like how much time I was actually spending, I wasn't spending a lot of that time in my priorities. It was more spending it in the other areas that everybody else wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And so maybe
Such a
could you
great point.
expand on that, or?
Absolutely. And look, I am not perfect at this. I struggle with this daily. But what helps me is planning. Okay. So I journal a lot. I write every day, every morning in my journal exactly on this. Not just balancing out my work life, but balancing out the family life. Time blocks are huge. I'll basically just have time blocks of when am I going to be finished with work? When am I going to close down my computer? And it's generally when our daughter gets off of, at a school or camp so that I can be present. And trust me, it's not perfect, okay? Because there are days when we have a lot more work, and I'm sure you have the same thing going on. There are
I was
days
just
where
gonna say I need to work on this myself.
it's hard, and this is why like I never talk pressuring people to do this or do what I do, because first of all, we're all in different situations, and I am blessed enough to have left the chiropractic office so I can work from home and serve more people online. But I mean, that I made that a priority because I knew that our daughter was growing so fast that, I was willing to step out of the chiropractic office to take a cut in with money because it was more important to me and to our family to to become more minimalistic with our
I love
lifestyle,
that. Yeah.
because it was a pretty big cut when I left the office, So what did we do? We just, looked at our budget. We looked at our expenses. We sold, we're still looking into like just minimizing our budget with selling a car. Do we need it? Do we need this? Do we need
Right.
that? And I can tell you what, even though we're bringing in a lot less money, I'm so happy
Oh my gosh.
and grateful for just the little things that we have, and to have the time with
Yes.
Inez. And I'm sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, that's perfect.
But we're all you're not. We're human, okay? And you just have to do the best in your situation. And you realize very quickly that you don't need a lot of stuff
Yeah.
to be happy. Just your health and your family and love, and that's really, you can get rid of a lot of the BS.
Yeah. I think that's like perfect. You couldn't have said it better, because I really think that's going back to the stress thing, that's what's causing people more stress, is they're trying to live this certain lifestyle.
Right.
And we're kind of creating a lot more of this stress that maybe we could minimalize and get back to like really what's important.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what you're communicating. I
Right.
love that, because
Yeah.
sometimes we're just we've got all these things getting thrown at us, and we're doing this and we're doing that, and just it causes more stress. And we can just sit back and live a little bit more simply, like you were
Just
talking about
simply,
yesterday.
and again, this depends on, again, like what makes me happy may not work for you, right? Or you, Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I was a very different person 20 years ago. I was, before I, met my husband and had children, I was that single girl, just, very, just into like my own thing. And I was very materialistic, and I'd be at Nordstrom shopping, and I had a business, and I was living the life back when I was living in Denver at the time. And never in a million years would have thought, looking ahead, that I would be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So like,
Oh, totally.
like back in the day, I was like driving a Range Rover. I mean, it's just all stuff I did not need. And I guess that's like really common when you're single. But now it's like none of that matters to me. And was I happier then? Heck no. I don't even know if I was happy then.
Yeah.
I was probably miserable then. But now with a lot less, literally like I look at my wardrobe and I have like 2 pairs of jeans and like a couple tank tops and a
Yeah.
couple sweaters, and
Yeah.
meeting the right person who doesn't judge you for having
Oh my
looking the
gosh.
same every day.
That's so true.
But it's like that's when you have the right spouse. But I think it's just realizing that it's the little things, and being grateful, and just little things like that just make you happy. And back to what you were saying about priorities, like sitting down and really, really being true to yourself. What makes you happy? What are your goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? And whatever your priorities are, make it happen. Only you can make those changes. And I talk to myself as I'm talking to you all, because it's a constant daily thing to remember these things. Like what makes you happy? How do you get there? And it could be as simple as, one day I just want to travel with my family so that my kids can experience a different culture, which is kind of what we want to do eventually.
Right.
We want to just be in a situation where we're so minimalistic with our lives that we can travel to like Indonesia or travel to Korea or wherever, and Southern Korea, and just be in a situation where we're educating our daughter and educating ourselves about how the rest of the world lives, and educating you all about
totally.
how the rest of the world lives. And
I can't wait for all those videos. That'll be great.
yeah, I know, right? It's just little things like that.
Yeah.
And so because we have that goal, we you have to make those steps to get to those goals, and it could be baby steps.
In terms of too, what makes you happy? Do you think? Because a lot of times I think too, when people are chasing after material things to make them happy, it can lead to like it's never enough, and it just is like
Always,
you get to
right?
that. And I was listening to Ben Pekulski talk about that, and he was like, "Man, I strive to be in Mr. Olympia. When I got to that top of the top, I realized like the top isn't all that great, and what I really realized is that like my kids are here, and I was missing out on my time with my kids and things like that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?"
Again, it just depends on what your priorities are. And, very well, like there could be like, if you're a bodybuilder and you have goals, that's wonderful. Or if you don't have kids, you could have very different priorities than people with kids. But again, I think you just have to be true to yourself on the things that are going to make you happy. Evaluate why these are things that you feel are going to make you happy, and be realistic with goals to get there and sacrifices on getting there too, right? So, I've done a lot of like just evaluation in my own life, and this can change. This can change. This is not going to be a constant thing. This could be something that changes every year, every decade, wherever you're at in your life. But just making it a healthy awareness in your life, so that you're not just... So you don't get depressed.
Yeah.
Gosh, depression is so huge.
For sure.
Gosh, or anxiety, or...
Skyrocketed.
Yeah. And I think it's just important to really just evaluate your situation. And because when you're happy, people around you are going to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be real. When you start like hating on people, it's probably something in your own life that you have to evaluate. It's probably some self-hate going on. And we see this all the time. Even when like when I say we, my family and I, like, whenever we find ourselves gossiping about whatever, and it could be just like the littlest thing, like, oh, so-and-so just seems like they were doing this. We're like, wait a minute, like, what's wrong? Like, why are we hating on other people doing their own lifestyle stuff? Is it something that maybe we're not happy with our own lifestyle? So just have to, I'm on a tangent again.
Insecurity.
Just
No,
kind of
that's-
evaluate your own life and
That's golden.
your happiness and what you're doing, and you're not judging others, because we're only human. Like, we do that too. And it's a constant, like, let's think about kind of what's going on in our own lives and our happiness, because when you're happy with yourself, you don't put that judgment
I love
on
that you said that,
others.
because I always think of it this way. Like, I realize I need grace because there's so many areas that I'm weak at. And so that's why I can sympathize with people that do struggle with their weight or struggle with their fitness. I have my own areas where I'm not the best at, and I know I need work in that. And I know if your health and fitness is a struggle, I know what it's like. And so it's easy for me to give them grace. And maybe it's just they need a little bit more time or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I love that you made that point.
And you're only human, Jason. We all do.
Yeah.
We all do. And yeah, it's important to have that for sure.
And so real quickly too, I would love to, obviously if it's, important to do this and make it a priority, I think you have to have a big enough reason why to make it a priority, and I know looking good and things like that, believe me, I think we all like to look good, and that brings self-confidence.
Yeah.
But I definitely have found that people that have more of an internal drive, for me, it's like, man, I want to be there for my kids as I grow older. I want to be able to still have a good quality of life.
Right.
I don't want to be 60 years old and be on every medication, be at the doctor's office. I've seen my mom going through a lot of health challenges. And so it's really inspiring me to make good habits now, so you don't wait till you get to that point. I think a lot of us, wait till we get to that point. And I really believe that when you're overweight, it's just a symptom, just like anything else in your body.
Oh my gosh, yes. And again, it depends on, what's going on in your life or your history or whatever, there's reasons for being overweight. But I think that, you made such a good point about just making these choices. And I realize, not all of us can afford expensive ribeyes and good food and all this and that. Obviously, money is a big concern. But you can make better choices. And I think that's the key with just life in general, is just making the best choices that you can, regardless of, where you're at in your life. And what I mean by that is, I was just thinking this the other day, like, some people have approached me and said, well, Deanna, I can't, I'd love to be able to eat, meat every day or good, like grass-fed and all this stuff, but I can't afford it. I get it. We're on a budget too. I would love a ribeye every day. But, there's things you can do to make it possible, like educate yourself on such things as organ meats, which are a lot cheaper, or potentially finding a local farmer who can give you discounts on food, or growing your own vegetables in your garden.
Not going out to eat as much.
Right. Just making those choices of which don't take a lot of money and making these new hobbies or new habits or putting yourself out there in a different way where you just become the person that you want to be and live the life that you want to have and to be healthier and involve your family with those things. So I get the budget thing. Okay. Like literally we made that decision again when I left the office and when we started a business.
Yeah.
And it's a very real thing, but you do the best you can, even if it means not getting something that's not grass fed.
Yeah,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Versus like a takeout burger from wherever. Like if it means that you can't do organic or do grass fed, just do your best with your budget and just get a good wash for those vegetables and just understand that maybe if whatever meat you're eating is grain fed, that whatever, I mean, if it's not giving you gut disturbance, it's a better choice. It's a better choice.
There you go, making steps.
Than a chicken McNugget.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have like an Aldi's out here. Do you have Aldi's?
What the heck is that? No.
So Aldi's is a grocery chain. They're actually doing really good at like bringing up a lot of like organic stuff, but on more of a budget. Okay.
Yeah,
it's probably
or
very
Costco.
Similar. Yeah.
And that's such a great
Costco.
point. You don't have to go to the expensive natural foods or Whole Foods. Oh my God, Whole Budget. I like avoid that
Whole
place.
Budget.
I just can't even take it. Like
that's a good
literally
point.
won't even do it. I think that grocery stores in general are making such a great effort to compete with these expensive places, which I love. Like, QFC is in a lot of different places all over, or Safeway or Costco, and they have legit organic sections that are affordable. So there's no excuses with that.
And another thing that these guys do is they have chickens, so they have like farm-raised eggs.
Mm-hmm.
But those aren't really hard to get a hold of either. Like a lot of farmers, out in St. Louis, Missouri, lots of different farmers. You go to farmers market and find somebody, but they'll sell you like farm fresh eggs that are loaded with nutrients.
Yeah. Eggs are the best.
For fairly like pretty close or even cheaper than what you get at the store.
Yeah, and again, if eggs give you disturbance, just do the yolks. I mean, the yolks are wonderful. But it's a good point. We actually eat a ton of eggs, a lot of raw yolks because we have our own chickens, so we know where they come from. Not that I'm encouraging you to eat raw yolks. Don't do it if you don't know where the eggs come from. But it's the cheapest thing ever, and it's seasonal because the chickens don't like to give us eggs in the winter. But you can do things like that. It's just have your own chickens or grow your own vegetables, and we live off of our yard. We're trying to be more sustainable that way. Of course, we can't grow avocados, which I love.
That would be awesome.
But because of that, we don't eat them every day. We have avocados maybe once a week. It's a treat. That's our treat. So that's how we budget, is like, what things do you have to have in your life regarding real food? Do you need to have everything every day? Do you need to have bananas every day? Do you need to have, whatever every day? Or is it something that you can kind of budget into your life? So making those priorities. Yeah.
Well, hey guys, this has been a fabulous conversation. I feel like we could like talk forever about this stuff, but we'll just kind of end it with that. But I would love to give Deanna, if people are trying to find you, like she's doing like some OMAD recipes and is it like a cookbook type thing? Or?
Yeah. So basically, Jason, what he was talking about with the OMAD is we're launching a course soon, just on like intermittent fasting. So back to our topic about women who are struggling with like weight gain or had kind of reached a plateau or a tipping point and like, what do I do? I've tried every diet. I educate people on how they can kind of biohack their lifestyle with time-restricted feeding and a little bit of real food on a budget. So yeah, we are launching a book on flexible OMAD, just so people, what OMAD means is basically a 1 meal a day, but that's not where we're going here. Don't look into that. It's basically how to incorporate shorter feeding windows into your life, whether it be once a week, once a month, daily, whatever your situation is, to help with fat burning, preserving muscle, etc. And I show a lot of recipes on my Instagram. On Dr. Deanna Muscle. I know it's corny, but that's my Instagram handle, Dr. Deanna Muscle. Or High Intensity Health is where my husband and I have a lot of our courses. So thanks so much.
No, so if you guys want to get great content, like I said, I follow Mike and Deanna. I've been following for like 3 years. If there's like a notification that comes up on my phone, like it's the first video I watch,
awesome.
I've learned so much. So these could be really good tools that she's incorporating for you to help, break through plateaus or just weight loss in general. So I definitely urge you to follow these guys. I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's so awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. We're gonna bring out more content. If you haven't subscribed to our channel at Final Start Fitness, please do so. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
We love your stuff too, by the way,
Oh,
Jason.
great.
You're awesome.
Thank you so much. So yeah, so feel free to subscribe, like, share, whatever. We'd like to comment back. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. Peace. Poof.